So we are picking not only the most positive moment or the most interesting moment of the year, but also the most impactful moment of the year. So Anna picked a clip during the Kavanaugh hearings. And so I want to play that for you guys, and then let's talk about that, because it was a huge point in history as well as this year. Let's take a look.
Both Brett and Mark were drunkenly laughing during the attack. They seemed to be having a very good time. Indelible in the hippocampus is the laughter, the uproarious laughter between the two, and they're having fun at my expense. They were laughing with each other.
And you were the object of the laughter?
I was, underneath one of them while the two laughed. Two friends having a really good time with one another.
So we heard that testimony. We're gonna play this video for you guys again. So and they asked her, so you were the object of their laughter? And she said yes. Just a little while later, Trump in a rally in Mississippi did this. And in this case, I want you to pay attention to the crowd.
So many different charges. Guilty until proven innocent. That's very dangerous for our country. That's very dangerous for our country. Shouldn't happen to him. Shouldn't happen to him. What he's going through, 36 years ago, this happened. I had one beer, right? I had one beer. Well, do you think it was, nope, it was one beer. Oh, good. How did you get home? I don't remember. How'd you get there? I don't remember. Where is the place? I don't remember. How many years ago was it? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What neighborhood was it in? I don't know. Where's the house? I don't know. Upstairs, downstairs, where was it? I don't know. But I had one beer. That's the only thing I remember. And a man's life is in tatters. A man's life is shattered. His wife is shattered. His daughters, who are beautiful, incredible young kids. They destroy people. They want to destroy people. These are really evil people.
Were you the object of their laughter? Yes. So they laughed at her again. And to see those women laughing, to see one of them holding up a Women for Trump sign, and like, I mean, look, a lot of the guys, you just saw the video yourself, was smiling throughout, and there's the little kid there. Jesus, man, what has this country become? Anna, you picked that clip. You start.
God, it's crazy because when that all went down, I couldn't compose myself during the show. We had to immediately go to break. I don't know what it is about that particular story that affects me so much, but it was hard. It was hard to see that, experience it, see like the utter cruelty, to see Trump exploit what she remembers most vividly about that alleged assault. And it was one of those moments, I've had a lot of these moments since 2016 where I just want to quit because it's torture going through these types of stories every day, and like really understanding the cruelty of human nature, Like that's what we do every day. We deal with that. And whatever, like I sit here and I get all emotional about it, right? But I'm lucky, I'm privileged, I'm blessed. Like I have a great husband, I have a great life, I have a great job, I have a great boss. So I feel lame just complaining about it, but dealing with this every day and seeing this type of human cruelty every day is unbearable. And for some reason, that story like really hit it home for me.
Yeah. It feels like not only an abuse of power, but a gratuitous one, like that they're rubbing it in. There's nothing you could do about it, whether she was pinned down in that, many years ago in that situation, or now, well, we're gonna confirm him anyway, and then we're gonna mock you. And that guy talking about how, she doesn't remember it. They asked him, which foot did you have the bone spurs in to get out of Vietnam? And he said, I don't remember. Okay, and that saved his life. Now that's the story that happened this week. The New York Times broke it, saying that yes, a doctor wrote a note for him it was fake, and his daddy got him out of the war. And so when it's convenient for him, he doesn't remember. And then nonetheless, he goes and mocks a person in what was the most impactful and traumatic moment in their lives. He has no ability to do empathy, but it isn't about Trump.
Yeah.
It's about the crowd.
Yes, yes, exactly.
And that little boy looked confused, and and I battle with this sometimes because I've talked about being sexually assaulted on the show, and I get very uncomfortable about talking about it. But after this, I felt that it was so much more important to be able to talk about your sexual assault because it frees people. And if you wonder why we don't report, is because we don't want to be subjected to that. Because the reality of it is that when you are being sexually assaulted, you're not taking account of the details of what's happening to you because you're too busy being assaulted. So I've never cracked on this show because I feel like I have to be the voice for a lot of people, specifically people of darker hues like me who really don't report, because it took 80 plus girls to get assaulted by a cop for him to be convicted of a crime, because 1 was not enough, 2 was not enough, 10 was not enough, 20 was not enough. So if you wonder why we don't report, it's because stuff like this, it is a mockery of the victim, the questioning of the victim. It is an assassination of character. Not in one moment did he talk about that woman's life and how many times she's had to uproot her family and the security issues that she's had to deal, the public humiliation, the people mocking her for the way that she spoke when she was probably one of the most intelligent people in that room. It's just, I have to speak on behalf of those survivors. And if you're out there and you're listening, some of us will listen to you. So please speak up and just don't treat people like that. It makes me.
It's hard to remember the good in human nature.
Yeah.
When this is what you see every day, like all day.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah.
So look, there were a lot of positive moments in 2018 too, and I think that we're in a situation where the good guys are going to win over the next couple of years. I'm very optimistic about that. But the part of the Christine Blasey Ford story that I keep remembering is that the reason she told her husband about Kavanaugh well before he was ever nominated to the Supreme Court, and he was a corroborating witness, that because she talked about it a long time ago. Wasn't like she did it just to get him, because she's Democrat, what these ridiculous charges, et cetera, is because they were having this weird argument about how she wanted 2 front doors. And her husband understandably didn't get it. And they went to a therapist and they're like, why do you want 2 front doors? That's so crazy. And finally she said, look, I went through this thing and I was trapped. And I don't want to be trapped. And it just gives me peace of mind to have 2 exits. And then the right wing, and this is not talked about enough because it isn't just about Trump, they hounded her and threatened her life and her family's life until she had to escape from that house that they built. Mm-hmm. And so she's, I don't know if they ever went back. And last I heard, they kept switching places that they were staying because their life was constantly under threat. We don't talk about what is called stochastic terrorism, where people say, hey, she's a terrible person, they're evil, just like Trump just said. They're evil, somebody should do something about it. And then Trump says, I didn't do anything, right? But his minions haunt her. And I'm also reminded of Alex Jones and what he did to those Sandy Hook parents, and how he said, oh, they're crisis actors, they're fake, et cetera. And one of them chased all across the country. Every time they move somewhere, here comes stochastic terrorism. Some other person pops up and attacks them. Their kid died. I don't understand how they have the heroic patience not to lash out. And so those quiet heroes are the ones you don't see day to day, but that suffer day to day because they dare to speak out and speak the truth.
Mm-hmm. As you say, Trump capitalized on this. Trump did not cause this, right? And you mentioned Alex Jones, and it just strikes me in this moment that that's the guy who Trump is most like in public life. It's really like we made Alex Jones president of the United States.
Yeah.
Totally without empathy, a lunatic who believes the craziest conspiracy theories, believes it perhaps, maybe it's an act, maybe it's in his heart, right? But obviously we know that this level, I mean, you guys know better than I that this level of misogyny and racism existed before, no question, right? But he just made it okay, right? He appealed successfully to our darkest angels. And politically weaponized it. And it was effective. I mean, he went out there and he made that case. That was part of a strong fight back for Kavanaugh. There was a time when that testimony from Dr. Ford would have derailed any nominee for any level of at any position appointed by the president. But they fought back because it works. And how we live and then how we permit, how any Republicans can rightfully stand with the Republicans who didn't fight back at that point. You know, obviously the disappointment in Susan Collins is profound, and having nothing to do with Brett Kavanaugh or his qualifications, whatever you think. If I'd seen the guy who picked him make that defense and ridicule that woman, I would have thought, I mean, these are politicians, so I'm not going to give that person a political win under any circumstances. But Bob Corker and Jeff Flake and Susan Collins did not, you know, and that is stunning that they didn't just say, hey, here's my opportunity publicly to say F you to this guy.
It's like mass hysteria though. Like he gave the miserable an enemy. You know, he preys on, it's like there's a psychological component to this. It's not just, you know what I mean? Like coming from the miserable, because I come from a neighborhood where the Mario boat lift was our biggest problem, which it really wasn't. It was like Cuba flushed its toilets and they sent all their criminals here and that's why we're broke and poor. And it's like, no, that's not why we're broke and poor. We're broke and poor because those guys are eating off of us, but they told us that, and we believe those. And it's just become like this infection that is catching. And it keeps growing. And even though it has been going on for a long time, it's like it's at an all-time high. And it looks like, I say, the little kids from Lord of the Flies, because it's like this mass hysteria of misery. And it's like everybody needs somebody to blame for why they're miserable. And they can't possibly fathom the person that they idolize being the cause of that. It has to be another miserable person.
I think what that whole story, you know, did for me was it killed any and all naivete I had left about just people in general, right? Because I remember after that day of testimony happened, those hearings happened, I thought, I mean, like, there's no way that Republican senators would confirm him. There's no way. And then I remember literally getting physically ill when I realized that this sham FBI investigation had concluded and that they were gonna basically clear him. It wasn't even a week. They were given a week to do the investigation. They didn't even do it for a full week. They didn't even talk to several people that they should have talked to, right? And they just decided, no, we're concluding this investigation, he's fine. And when I read that story, I remember it was early in the morning as we're putting the rundown together, I got physically ill and dizzy and I couldn't even stand up straight. And I just remember thinking like, oh my God, these people are actually worse than I thought. And I didn't think that it was possible. And it was possible. And that's why it had a huge impact on me. It killed any innocence or naivete I had left.
Yeah. Well, look, last couple of things here. One, I want to thank Anna for continuing to stand up nonetheless. Right, it's easy to go through that and then fold up shop, but she's still here, still standing strong and making the case. Secondly, Aida, you're a poet. You gave the miserable an enemy. I love that, right? And you're absolutely right. When you're trying to figure out what went wrong in society, don't look down, look up. The poor don't have enough power to make a difference. The immigrant that crossed the border with no money has no power. The elites have power. And it doesn't mean that everybody that's quote unquote elite is a bad person or anything along those lines. But if you're looking to see who rigged the system or who created the imbalances and the injustices, it's the people with power that have the ability to do that. So don't look down, look up. Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.